Hello everybody. So in response to the readings, there are several things that kind of stuck out to me. Number one was probably the fact that children's literature is the number one genre that is being published and purchased nowadays. In I believe it was 2014, out of 2.6 billion books, 39% of them were children's literature. That's 1 billion books. I thought that was pretty extensive. Number two, I think it was interesting to learn that printed books are still the preference versus ebooks. I would think that in our digital age, that children would prefer to read ebooks versus a regular printed book. But I can definitely understand them. I think pictures and just the text, just holding a book in your hand, just adds so much more to it. And another reason for that might be because parents actually want their kids to have print books versus any book, because of the amount of time we are spending looking at screens nowadays. Another thing that I thought was interesting was that there is more interest in biographies and nonfictions, which I can relate to. My son, he loves nonfiction books about different animals, nature, and places, and history. He doesn't like drawn pictures, silly pictures in the books. He likes the actual photographs. My daughter, on the other hand, she likes the humor in the series, like the Dork Diaries, or she used to love Fancy Nancy or Judy Moody. So she definitely likes the humor, and so I can see how that can be true. The one thing that I kind of thought was surprising was that publishers print 25 to 30% fewer picture books because parents want more challenging books for their children. And I don't think that's the best thing, because of the fact that all the picture books that we have read so far, I think that they add so much. The pictures add so much to the text, and I think they add aids in understanding what you're reading. So I think, even with the higher grades, having pictures just adds so much more to the book. One of the things that I thought also worth to mention was, what kind of surprised me was that adults buy children's nonfiction books. 27% nonfiction books were purchased by adults that actually don't have kids. I thought that was just a piece of information that that I wanted to share. In the article about United Kingdom trends, I thought it was pretty surprising to learn that the number one pastime for kids up to the age of 10 was reading. I would think that it would be playing like video games or being on the tablets and stuff like that. So it was nice to learn that that is still happening somewhere out there. It's not in my house, that's for sure. If my kids had a choice, they probably would prefer TV or a tablet. But it is a concern for 14 to 7-year-olds, where it's almost non-existent. And I think it was good to point out in that article that we do need to do some type of research on teens, just to determine what does push their buttons to get them to read more. Some ways that I think that we can take away from the trends is, because of the fact that these books that are printed nowadays are of high quality, they can maybe be utilized as teaching material that we can actually teach from. And I think that might be more relatable. Kids can relate to that a little bit more and find it more interesting. As well as, I like the idea that there are more multicultural books that are being printed, especially with the diversity of our classroom, and it's constantly growing. I think it is important to have books in our class that kids can relate to, and they can learn about their own culture, and they can learn about other people's culture, and maybe determine or come to the realization that we have more things in common that actually sets us apart, and be more accepting. So that's about all. Well, thank you for watching.